the very distinguished Solicitor General of India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, who always defends us in all the courts of India, Madam Ranjana Desai, she's a very distinguished, she's been a very distinguished judge and now the chairperson of the Press Council of India. Mr. Pathak, the Deputy Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Mr. Om Pathak, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me at the outset first congratulate Blitz India for the launch of its various publications today. It has been almost 1 year since it's been publishing, and it's brought in a new era of positive developmental stories. It's important that if India is to grow at high rates of 9-10% year after year for 3 decades or more, to be able to lift a very young population above the poverty line, transformational work has to be done, and this has to be supported by the media rather than sensationalizing a number of issues. It's important to understand that in the last 7 to 8 years, we've seen India getting transformed in many ways. During the period 2014 to 2017, almost 480 new bank accounts were opened in India, which is almost 55% of the bank accounts opened across the world. That is, every second bank account opened in the world was opened in India. We were then able to link it up with Aadhaar and also the mobile, and that has enabled India and vast number of Indians living in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities in rural India to make their digital payments. And mobile then became their bank. And therefore, India does 11x digital payments than what United States and Europe does, 4x more than what China does. And this has been a technological leapfrogging of India in many ways. We've really pole vaulted digitally. But if you look at the infrastructure story, India in the last 7 years, 8 years has built about 55,000 kilometers, which is 1.5 times the entire diameter of the earth. And therefore, if you travel from Delhi to different parts of India, or if you travel from different cities, you will see the huge amount of transformation in the road infrastructure that has been made. But more important than that is that India, in the last 8 years, has provided almost 3 crore houses for its citizens. And these are stories which are not talked about. That's why I thought I'll mention it. Now, 3 crore houses is actually equivalent to making a house for every single Australian. And therefore, we've really made, in terms of houses, we've made one full Australia in the last 8 years. And if you look at the number of households that we've provided, drinking water, that's about 8.1 crore households, which is almost about, if you look at every household having 3 families, 3 members, you'll about 25 crore families, and which is like providing water to the entire Germany. And in terms of toilets, we've made about 10.9 crore toilets, which is like providing toilets to entire Brazil. That is the size and scale of India that we've achieved in the last 8 years. But if you look at during the COVID period, while the rest of the world was not able to provide vaccines, we became the pharmacy of the world and we became the vaccine capital of the world. We provided about 2.2 crore vaccines, which was all digital, which was all paperless, cashless, whereas the rest of the world, including the United States, all provided vaccines through paper, all paperwork. And therefore, India demonstrated to the world that digitally we've advanced very rapidly, and we could provide vaccine. We became the vaccine capital of the world, and we provided vaccines to about 145 countries of the world. And we've provided health insurance to 50 crore people, 50 crore people through the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, which is like providing health insurance to the entire population of the United States and Europe, both US and Europe together. So in terms of size and scale, what we've achieved is just mind-boggling and totally phenomenal. But these are stories because the normal media wants to sensationalize issues and has to find readership in terms of creating sensations. The development part of India is not talked about. But it's very important to do this because if India has to grow at rapid rates and transform the life of Indian citizens, then there has to be a very young, confident, very self-confident India which has to march ahead. It's not that we are the 5th largest economy of the world, but we have to become the 3rd largest economy of the world in the next few years. And when we are the G20 president and the Prime Minister is holding the leadership as the president of G20, we have to really guide the destiny of the world. And therefore, there has to be a self-confident India which needs to talk about many of the transformational, the paradigm shift that we have made, the huge revolutionary work that has been done in terms of grassroots. I was doing the aspirational district program where we were transforming 115 of the most backward districts of India. We've transformed them in terms of learning outcomes, in terms of health outcomes, in terms of digitization and many other ways in the infrastructure story of India. But these are stories which are just not talked about. And therefore there has to be a huge focus and we have to keep reiterating it again and again, so that everybody becomes confident of that the vast transformation of India that has been made. And therefore, I really appreciate the great work that Blitz India is doing. It's setting out a new path of a developmental journalism, which is very important in front of very distinguished guests like Madam Ranjana Desai, Justice Ranjana Desai, and Mr. Tushar Mehta and Mr. Pathak. And therefore, this will herald a new era of constructive, positive, and developmental journalism. So I congratulate Blitz India and wish you all the best and a great future. Thank you.